Welcome to my channel. This is Sharif Walters with 40 Email Productions. If you are not a subscriber, please subscribe to my channel and press the like button if you dig what I'm talking about. So today's video is going to be about how to act in a film that you are directing. Now, by all means, I am no master at this. I've directed 3 of my own short films. One was pretty terrible and the other 2 were okay. But I did learn a lot of lessons from directing and starring in my own projects. If you know a director, I would suggest that you use that director. It's just a lot easier. But if you were in a situation like me where you didn't know a director or you couldn't afford the directors that you want, you have to basically make do with what you have. And what you have is you. So I'm going to give you guys some strategies as to how to direct and star in your own projects. The main thing that you have to focus on is just the discipline, the dedication, the focus, setting clear boundaries. Setting up a schedule is essential for creating a short film or any sort of film that you are starring in. Now, when I was focusing on one of my short films that I was in, I had to separate a few hours for production, and I had to separate a few hours for rehearsal for the acting aspect of it. And that is highly important for any project. So if you could set up a schedule solely for all of the production stuff. Anything that has to do with production, set aside a few hours for that. Before you even get into production, you should set aside a few hours to solely focus on pre-production. Anything that has to do with the film, production-wise, focus on that for a few hours with your crew. And then on the other side, rehearsals. Set aside a few hours with your actors for rehearsal, and set up a consistent schedule for that, and it'll make your life so much easier. Collaborate with a trusted team. If you have a team that you normally work with, continue working with them because you have the history together. And for example, whenever I was starring in one of my own short films, I consistently worked with my buddy who's a cinematographer, and he's also a director. So whenever I was in front of the camera, him and I shared the same vision. So the film went off without a hitch because we both took the time in production to talk about every minute detail about the film project. So I entrusted him whenever I was in front of the camera because we had already planned everything ahead of time. Recording and reviewing. Now, I hate this part of acting. Whenever I never watch playbacks, but whenever you are rehearsing, you should record your rehearsals because there might be things that you're doing in the rehearsal that you don't realize you're doing. I realized that I have certain tics, and I would have never really noticed that unless I reviewed it during rehearsal. And not only that, you can take notes. You can take notes in rehearsals of the things that you feel that you're doing well, if you're connecting with your scene partner, so on and so forth. Table reads. I went to an acting conservatory, so I come from the theater, and during rehearsal, we just drilled it. We just ran it over and over and over again. And it's amazing what you discover in the theater and through in rehearsal, because from the theater, no 2 performances are the same. You may discover something in the 5th performance. So if you have an opportunity to do a table read and just read what your cast is only going to help you once you start filming, and not only that, it's going to speed up the pace of your production because time is money, and making a film, even a short film, is expensive. So if you can already lock everything down performance wise through the table read is only going to improve your film and push things forward and make things a hell of a lot faster. Stay in class or get into a workshop. Stay around acting before you start filming. I was taking a scene study class and I was taking a code reading class. So stay working that muscle. Don't wait until it's time for you to perform and do your thing and get rusty, because you will get rusty. The acting muscle is a muscle, and if you don't work it, you will lose it. Either get into a class or get into a workshop, but stay training. That's the one thing that you should do as an actor. Even though you're going to be directing, the main objective for you is you want to act. So the only way to stay sharp is to stay in class, either getting to a scene study class or improv or a code reading class, whatever class it is that will help you work that muscle. Just stay in class, because just like any muscle, if you don't work it, you lose it. Mindfulness and relaxation. Every night and every morning I do a meditation, muscle relaxation, breathing exercise. And what that does is it grounds me. And not only does it ground me, it keeps me calm, it keeps me focused. And you're gonna need that when you are directing your project and you're starring in your project. There's a lot of moving parts that are happening. There's a lot of things going on. Things may fall apart, and you have to be calm. Because at the end of the day, it's your project, it's your baby, and whether it succeeds or fail will depend on how you react to certain situations. Because in every project I've ever been in, someone had to put out a fire. So if this is your project, you have to be the calm in the storm. So I suggest that you do meditation, yoga, any sort of deep breathing, or just take 5 minutes, turn off your phone, turn off everything, and just sit by yourself. Trust me, it helps. Seek feedback from your cast and crew. The one smart thing I can say that I do is I surround myself around people who are a hell of a lot smarter than me. And a lot of the times they have great ideas. They see things that I don't see, and they bring so much to the table, because at the end of the day, all of our names are on this project, so they want to ensure that the project is the best that it could possibly be. And leave your ego at the door. That's the one thing that I always say before we start filming, because I don't know everything. I don't try to pretend like I know everything, and I lean on my cast and I lean on my crew to help me and help us succeed in this film project. So leave your ego at the door. Let your crew and your cast help you, and that's really huge. One of the things that helped me was I directed in character, because it was hard. It was hard for me to separate the director side of my brain and the actor side of my brain. So the character is never too far away from me whenever I'm directing a project. One of my projects that was really challenging, it was called Fear of Shadows, and it was about a sex offender, which is a really dark subject matter, and we were working with children. It was things that were going on, so clearly I couldn't stay in character while I was directing and acting. But the one thing I did do was once again, communication. I communicated with my producer and say, hey, just let the cast know that if I'm quiet, I'm just staying in character. Don't take it personal. I'm not trying to be weird or anything, but I needed to do that to ensure that I gave the best performance whenever I was in front of the camera. And then after we cut, then I go talk to the kids or whatever I'm doing. But do whatever you need to do to be able to snap into the character when it's time for you to perform in front of the camera.